Thank you. Getting ready for the season of light. That's a great song. I like it. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Glad to see you here. Hi out there in Facebook land. Hope you're having some nice coffee and all of that sort of stuff. Last week we talked about forgiveness a little bit. And I got a lot of conversation about that during the week. So I thought I would approach it again, maybe from a little bit different angle. And then I remembered that I had been channel surfing a few weeks ago, and I stumbled across a biography of Elizabeth Smart. And you may well remember her from that publicized account of her abduction way back in 2002. And it got to have me, I got thinking about it, and you know, we all have stuff from our past, starting in our childhood. My teacher used to say, all God's children got stuff. And if you don't think you have any stuff, that's your stuff. But the stories, we all have them. The stories, the tales of woe that we've carried around like a huge bag of rocks. And some of us may still be carrying those bags and recounting the ain't it awful stories with well-practiced emotion and knowing just where to pause to get the most dramatic effect. But the thing is, the more you tell the story, fewer and fewer people are actually interested. They're not interested at all in hearing it anymore. The less they listen, the less they seem to care, and they start to just tune you out and roll their eyes. And maybe that's because everyone has their own story of sadness and disappointment. I mean, we all have a story to tell about being hurt or abused somehow, somewhere in our life. You know, it's just what happens in a world full of unconscious people. Some people get hurt. Some people get abused. Now, fortunately, for most of us, the sad stories of our lives remain private. They're known by just a few people around us. But can you imagine if your childhood trauma was made public, you know? And it was so popular, it became so popular that literally everybody in the world knew the details of it. How much worse could it get? And how would you ever find a way to overcome the pain of the past if everyone in the world knew what you'd gone through? Well, such was the case with Elizabeth Smart. And this perfect story of forgiveness. Now, as I said, most of us know the story of Elizabeth Smart. We know all the gory details because those details were made public. In June 2002, when she was just 14 years old, she was kidnapped from her bedroom. And she spent 9 months in captivity, during which her captors, which were actually a husband and a wife, during which they tied her up, raped her daily, and threatened to kill her if she tried to escape. Now, I can't think of a more horrible thing to have happen and for a child to go through, a 14-year-old girl, than to have her innocence stolen from her at such a young age in the darkness of night, and in the one place where she felt the most safe, in her home, in her bedroom. So Elizabeth tells the story of being awakened in the middle of the night by her captor, who said, "I have a knife by your throat, and if you make one sound, I will kill you." And then he abducted her. And he took her to a campground that he had up in the mountains, where he and his wife, you know, were camping, and his wife then prepared her to be raped. The nightmare went on, day after day after day, month after month after month, until Elizabeth said she prayed to die. She was chained to the ground, kept naked, and abused and raped daily. It's a horror story. It's inconceivable to me and to most of us how anyone could ever do that to another human being, especially a child. It makes me angry to just talk about it. And when we hear stories like this of an innocent child being abused, we want revenge, don't we? We want to hang this guy up by his gonads. We want him to die a slow, painful death. That's the knee-jerk human reaction. Hurt those who hurt you. Make them pay for what they did. It's the normal response. It's the common response. But it's not the right one. The right response is to forgive them. But how? How in God's name do you ever do that? How could Elizabeth even begin to forgive the couple who tortured and raped her? And why would she want to do that? In her own words, she said this: I didn't want to live my life under my captor's control. I didn't want to live my life in fear. See, she made a choice. Forgiveness begins with a choice to not be controlled by what happened to you, to not let it dictate and destroy the rest of your life and steal your joy. It's a choice you make for yourself, a choice you must make for yourself, a declaration of independence from your own pain. It's a conscious choice to not be a permanent victim, to not sacrifice your future or your past, or for a past that you cannot change. To not sacrifice that future for something you can't change in the past. And that's a choice that I'm going to ask you to make today. To not let whatever happened to you in your past steal your joy in living. To not succumb to the bitterness and the anger that is so common for all of us. And I have to tell you, it takes an extraordinary person, an exemplary person, to make that choice. Very, very few people of us have the awareness and the support to not let our past infect and destroy our future. True fact is, I didn't have it. I did the common thing. I followed the predictable pattern. Now, my childhood trauma certainly doesn't compare to Elizabeth's in any way, shape, or form. But I did what is most common, what most of us do. I took up where the abusers left off. See, it's very common for women who've been raped or men who have been traumatized to hit the self-destruct button in their own lives. They start to abuse themselves long after the abuser has left and the abuse ceases. They feel worthless. They feel defeated. Their self-esteem plummets. And so they start drinking or taking drugs or self-mutilation or stealing or doing something that creates chaos and an out-of-control life. The common reaction for being abused is to self-destruct, to not allow anything good or anyone good into your life. And then the cycle just repeats itself on an unconscious level, over and over and over again. So as ironic as it may seem, those who have been abused by others start to abuse themselves. When asked how she found her way to recovery, Elizabeth said, recovery starts with acceptance. Accepting that you're hurt. Accepting that you're angry. But then she said something that was really interesting to me. She said, don't even think about forgiveness. Don't even think about it. Just try and start loving yourself. Because as your love for yourself grows, you will be able to let go of what's happened to you. Now, I don't think that I've ever heard better advice when it comes to finding a way to move on from the pain of the past. See, forgiving those who have hurt you in so close to the event can feel overwhelming. It can just seem so overwhelming to do. It can be too pie in the sky, too unreachable when it's fresh. And that's when we say, I can't forgive those people. So the best way to get to the happiness that awaits you on the other side of your pain is to start loving yourself right now, where you are, as you are. See, self-love is the key to rebuilding your life. It's the baby step that we all have to take in order to heal. And I say baby step because I'm keenly aware that when you've been told that you're not good enough over and over and over again your whole life, loving yourself or even treating yourself well seems incredibly awkward at first. Because in your mind, you keep telling yourself, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this. This is too good for me. I don't deserve this. But we got to keep taking those baby steps. We got to start treating ourselves like somebody. We treat ourselves like somebody we actually love. And in time, if we do this, I promise that it will feel right to do so. Now, Elizabeth Smart went on to become a healthy, functional woman. She got married. She has 3 children of her own. She's written several books about her experience and how she came into recovery and healing and forgiveness. All of them are on the New York Times bestseller list. She's done TED Talks and received numerous awards and accolades. She's an activist for women's rights, and she helped promote the National Amber Alert for lost or abducted children. Elizabeth's recovery continues to motivate and inspire law enforcement and leaders around the world to focus on childhood safety. And if you want to learn more about her, all you have to do is go to elizabethsmart.com. In one of her TED Talks, she said this thing that it both amazed me and it truly surprised me. And she said, although I would never, ever, ever want what happened to me to happen to another person, I actually feel grateful for what it brought to my life. See, because of the trauma she went through and the challenges of her own recovery, what might have been an otherwise ordinary life for a teenage girl, Elizabeth Smart became an extraordinary woman who made a huge difference in the lives of millions of people. She has quite literally changed the world and left it much better off than she found it. Now that's the way to do it. That's how you take a horror story and you turn it into a healing story. So let's let her be our example on how to live successfully. Even if you were raised by crazy people, even if you've been abused by others, even if you've been through holy hell. Because like I always like to say, if you're going through hell, don't pitch a tent. Don't sign a long-term lease. Keep moving. Go through the hell, but go through it and get to the other side. Say what you need to say. Yell if you need to yell. Cry if you need to cry. Let out all that emotional trauma. Open the wound. Release the pain. Because you have to feel it to heal it. But then, after you've done that, turn the page on that book. Close that wound. And you must leave that story where it belongs, in the past. Because the thing is, here's the problem. If you let it, that story of survival will become your identity. And instead of being the healthy creator of new stories, you'll be stuck in survival mode, retelling your story of your painful past over and over and over again. And if you don't stop doing that, not only will the story of your painful past become your new identity, but you will start to proudly wear it. You'll proudly wear it around so that everybody can see, like a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout with an honor badge. You get a badge for surviving a crappy childhood. You get a badge for surviving a miserable marriage. You get a badge for surviving cancer. On and on and on it goes. And you start to feel inflated and all puffed up. And you say, look at me. Look at what kind of fresh hell I have survived. And most people are completely unaware of the harm that causes them and the limitations that it brings into their lives. I've been pondering and wondering a while now about why we do that, And why do we do that? Why do we march around so proudly with our survivor badge on? And I've come to the conclusion that, you know why we do that? It's for the same reason we do everything else. Because there's a payoff. There's a payoff. We actually get attention for it, right? It makes us feel self-righteous and better than others. And ultimately, we start to gain our self-esteem by surviving. And it goes on. More self-esteem, more surviving, more self-esteem, more surviving. And we say to ourselves, look how wonderful I am. I've survived this. Now, of course, no one intends for that to happen. People just get stuck in their stories, and they keep repeating them over and over and over again. But you see, this isn't one of those fake reality shows like Survivor or Naked and Afraid. No, this is not some fake reality show. This is real life. And I'm going to stand up here and I'm going to tell you a truth here, because I'm thinking that maybe in our lives somebody forgot to tell us. See, you are not here to survive misery. You are here to thrive in a universe that is created for the sheer delight, the sheer absolute delight and the pleasure of a love that has no end. That's what created us. So if we've been created by a love that has no end, what other agenda could there possibly be for your life? You are here for love. You are here to enjoy life, not suffer through it. See, forgiveness is the key to healthy living. Forgiveness is the road to freedom. Forgiveness is the path to self-love. By forgiving those who have hurt you, you are set free to live the life that your heart dreams of. And by the way, the life that God, Spirit, the universe always had in mind for you to live. A life of love and joy and ease. And isn't it time that we start living that life? The life we came here to live. And so it is. So let's turn our attention inward for a moment. Let's just get quiet and close our eyes. We'll do a little inner work. And we're going to remember, because we forget that we are not these bodies that we animate and carry around every day. We forget that there's no reason to be judged or to judge others by the shape, age, color, or style of their body at all. We are spirits, animating bodies. We are love inside those bodies, wanting to be released. So let's stop for a minute and go inward and to just listen and hear what Spirit is trying to tell us. It's easy to not remember that we have been created in the image and likeness of love. It's easy to put other agendas in front of us instead of the one agenda of love. We forget that we're not alone. It seems like we are, but we're not. Inside of us, circling around us, lifting us up and holding us up, is the love of the universe. That same power that holds the planet in precise orbit that's necessary to sustain all life in it. And it does that because it loves what it creates. And it created me. It created you. It created us. So whatever harm that has been done to you, it's not permanent. It's temporary. Your spirit will survive it. Your soul will go on. And the love inside your heart will be revealed again. See, it doesn't matter what you've been through. What's within you is far greater than anything. Anything. What's within you is life and light, love, God, joy. We forget that. And so we look for our good outside of ourselves all the time, thinking it's out there, when in truth it's been inside of us all along. So let's just reflect on that. Let's be inside our own hearts and just take a moment of silence to feel what's in your heart. Let's make a choice together today. A choice to not be driven by the pain of our past. Let's claim our independence. Claim our independence from all that has hurt or harmed us back then. Let's move forward in love. Let's create a better idea, a grander vision. Let's claim our healing and take a step into the greatest idea that we have for our lives. Let's move on and move forward into joy and into love where we belong, home in the heart of God, knowing only joy and love. And I know that as we have this time together, we're richly blessed, and we send that healing consciousness out into the world to our friends and our family. All those that we hold near and dear. And we send it out to all churches everywhere, knowing that we are all one. May look different at the base of the mountain, but at the top, we are all one. So gratefully I release this prayer, this treatment, and I send it forth to do its good work. And together we all say, and so it is.
sign your name at the end of this day, knowing that my heart is true. Let my life song sing to you.
All right. Perfect song for the talk. Thank you. That was great. All right. So we come to the portion of our service that we call our grateful giving, our affirmative giving. This is our chance to know that God, Spirit, divine intelligence, whatever we choose to call it, is the source and the substance of all good in our life. No, it looks like it comes from outer sources, but it's Spirit and our consciousness of it. So I'm going to read our affirmative giving affirmation, and I ask you to just take that into your consciousness and know with me that from the love of pure Spirit, I bless this gift. It is evidence of my faith and conviction that God, Spirit, divine intelligence, is the source and substance of all good in my life. I send it forth to heal, prosper, and bless. And I know that this gift and this blessing that I send returns to me multiplied abundantly.
Please join me in singing I Am So Blessed. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed. One more time. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.